Skylar here. Thanks for joining me today. This class is going to be about a 60-minute power yoga class. And in this one, we're going to be working on arm balances and inversions. We're going to be building some heat. So, I'll be showing modifications if you would need them. And also, you may want to make sure that you have a clear space on the wall because we're going to be working on a forearm stand today. So, it's going to be a fun one. So let's go ahead and get started at the top of the mat. Bring the feet about hips distance apart and bend the knees. Bring the torso down to the thighs and let the head drop down. Getting some length through the back body here, allowing space to be created between each vertebrae. You can grab opposite elbows. You can sway from side to side. Shake the neck. Turn the head, yes and no. Maybe you can push the knees a little straighter. And on a long inhale, keeping the knees bent, start to roll up nice and slowly, vertebrae by vertebrae. Protecting the lower back with the knees bent, suck the navel in towards the spine. And inhale the hands all the way up, reach out towards the ceiling. Exhale, hands to heart center. Step the feet together and we will begin with a couple of Surya Namaskar A's. Inhale, reach the hands up, look up. And exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. And exhale, step it back to the top of the plank. And same exhale, come halfway down, Chaturanga. And inhale, pushing into upward facing dog or cobra. Exhale, rolling over the toes, sending the hips up to the ceiling. And breathe your Ujjayi breath. Long, slow breathing all through the practice. Engage Mula Bandha. Squeezing the perineum area. Engaging that root lock. 2 and 1. Look forward, walk the feet between the hands. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, bring the arms to airplane and come on up to standing flat back. Inhale, hands up. Exhale, hands to heart center. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, step back, top of the plank to Chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog or cobra. Exhale, roll over the toes, come into downward facing dog. And hold for 5. Remembering Mula Bandha. 4, 3, 2, 1. Walk the feet forward. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, arms to airplane. Come up with a flat back. Hands to ceiling. Exhale, hands to heart center. And one more like that. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, step back to plank and through chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. Push through the knuckles of the index finger and the thumbs. Getting a little bit of external rotation through the arm bone. Bend the knees, push the chest in towards the thighs. Let the head and the chest drop down. And then you can slowly, gently start to push your heels down towards the mat. Warming up the arms, getting ready for the arm balances we're going to be doing later. Look between the hands. Step in between the hands. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, flat back, come up to standing. Hands up. And exhale, hands to heart center. Bend the knees, set the hips back, bring the weight into the heels. And inhale, bring the hands up. Chair pose, Utkatasana, gazing at the thumbs. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, step it back to the top of the plank and chaturanga. Upward facing dog. Downward facing dog. Step the right foot forward, spin the back foot flat. Inhale, warrior one. Exhale, through your vinyasa. And step the left foot forward, back foot down, warrior one on the left. Exhale, bring the hands down and go through your vinyasa. Meeting in downward facing dog and holding for 5, 4, remembering to push through the insides of the hands, externally rotating the arm bones. Pushing the heels down towards the mat. Look between the hands, walk forward. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, come on up to Utkatasana, keeping the knees back, hips back. Look up at the hands. And mountain pose, straighten the knees. Bring the hands to heart center. Finding your stability. And we'll go through a couple more of the Surya Namaskar Bs, really building up heat here. So bring the big toes together, bend the knees, sit the hips back, look up, raise the hands up towards the ceiling. Squeezing the thighs together, lifting the big toe, or all of the toes. Lifting the toes up, bringing all the weight into the heels. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, go through your vinyasa, high plank, low plank, upward facing dog, downward facing dog. Always remembering linking movement with breath. Step the right foot forward, back foot down, warrior one. Big inhale, exhale, through your vinyasa. Meeting in downward facing dog. And step the left foot forward, back foot flat. Inhale, warrior one. And exhale through the vinyasa. Meeting in downward facing dog for 5, 4, pushing through the knuckles of the index fingers and the thumbs, dropping the head and chest, and then working towards straightening the legs. Look between the hands, walk the feet forward. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, sent the hips back, and an inhale, coming into Utkatasana. And come up to standing. Finding your breath. Finding your stability, rooting through all 4 corners of the feet. Engaging the quadriceps, lifting the kneecaps, sucking the navel in towards the spine. Lifting the shoulders up and back. And we will go through one more Surya Namaskar B. Bend the knees, set the hips back, raise the hands up, pulling the arms towards the ears. Look up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. And exhale, step it back to the top of the plank. Chaturanga, upward facing dog. Downward facing dog, and step the right foot forward, back foot flat. Inhale, warrior one. Exhale through the vinyasa like a dance. Meeting in downward facing dog. Step the left foot forward, back foot flat. Inhale, warrior one. Exhale through your vinyasa. Exhale, meet in downward facing dog. Pushing through the inner edges of the hands. Bringing the chest towards the thighs. And then working towards straightening the legs. Gazing over the tip of the nose. And come on down, drop the knees down, bring the big toes to meet, sit the hips back on the heels. We're just a little child's pose here, coming back to the breath. Taking a little rest. Checking in with ourselves, with the breath, with the body. Working on equanimity in this practice, non-reactiveness. When you go off the mat and things get uncomfortable in life, can you come back to your breath? Can you respond to the situation rather than reacting? And that's what we're working on here. Controlling the mind. instead of allowing the mind to control us. If you're ready, come back into downward facing dog. And step the right foot forward. Stay on the ball of the back foot. Come in on up into crescent lunge. Reach the hands up towards the ceiling. Look up. Push through that back heel. And bring the chest down. Chest meets the front knee. Arms to airplane wings. And step forward into warrior three. Balancing on that right foot. Bringing the left leg parallel to the ground. Reaching through the back heel all the way through the crown of the head. Bring the hands down, framing that front foot for standing splits. Just raising the left leg as high as you can. Letting the head drop down, kind of using it as leverage to bring the back foot up a bit higher. And gently bring the back foot back down, stepping back to the lunge. But don't come into your lunge, heel toe your right foot out just a bit so you're not on a tightrope. And bring the arms on the inside of that front foot for lizard pose. You can drop the back knee if that feels better for you. But we're going to start working on our arm balances if you're ready. If you're going to do this. If not, you can just stay here, really get into those hip flexors. But if you want to try this arm balance, take the right arm underneath the left, or the right leg, right arm under the right leg. Try to get that thigh over the shoulder. Coming into chaturanga arms. And just bring the chest down. Lift the legs. And come back down. And come into downward facing dog. Step the left foot forward. Coming into crescent lunge. Reach the hands up. Push through the back heel. Keeping the front knee over the ankle. Look up to balance, challenge your balance just a bit. And on an exhale, bring the chest down, bringing the chest to meet the front knee, arms to airplane wing. And launch your weight forward, step it forward just a bit. Come up into warrior three on the left leg. Right leg is parallel to the ground, toes pointing down. Reaching all the way from the heel through the crown of the head, making one long line of energy. Bring the hands down on either side of the standing foot. And raise the left or the right foot up. Standing splits. Work towards pointing those top toes down, not letting the hip externally rotate. And on an exhale, step it back into the lunge stance and bring your hands to the inside of the left foot. For lizard pose, you can drop the back knee if you're going to kind of hang out here. You can keep the right knee lifted. Yeah, hang out here for just a minute, and if you're going to come into the arm balance, we'll go there in just a minute. We just want to open up through the hips a bit. Okay, and if you're going into the arm balance, reach the left arm under the left leg, working towards getting that knee up by the shoulder. Coming into chaturanga arms, bending the elbows, kind of heel toeing the left foot out to the side, and coming into an arm balance. And step it back into plank and come into downward facing dog. Coming back to your breath here. Coming into child's pose if it feels right for you. Step the right foot forward. Spin the back foot flat, coming into warrior two. Arms parallel to the ground. Maybe you can make your stance a little bit wider, bending deeper into that front leg. Opening up through the hips just a bit more. And straighten the front knee. Reach as far forward as you can with the right hand. And drop the right hand down for triangle. Trikonasana. Looking up at the ceiling. Working towards stacking shoulder on top of shoulder. Arms making a straight line. And then inhale, come on up. Bend into the front knee. Bring the right hand to the outside of the right foot. And bring the left hand up and over the head for extended side angle. Push through the outside edge of the back foot. Reach farther with the top fingers. And we'll go through the vinyasa. Frame the front foot, step it back into the plank, and we'll meet in downward facing dog. Hold here in downward facing dog for a few breaths. Coming to child's pose if you need to take a break. And if you're unable to keep a kind of steady pace of breathing, then you definitely, I would suggest coming into child's pose. Because if we create a miserable experience on the mat, we're not going to want to come back. This isn't about beating ourselves up. All right, step the left foot forward, spin the back foot flat, coming up into warrior two. Maybe you can bring the front foot forward a little bit more. Coming into a nice long stance. Working on building strength in our roots, in our legs. And building that equanimity in the mind, gazing over the front fingers. Inhale, straighten the front leg. Exhale, reach as far forward as you can. And drop the left hand down Right hand up towards the ceiling for Trikonasana on the left. Deep Ujjayi breathing. And come on up to stand. Bend the front knee. Bring the left hand to the outside of the left foot. Coming into extended triangle, reach the right hand up and over. Push through the outside edge of the back foot, reach all the way through the fingertips, making one long line of energy. Rotate the chest up, look at the ceiling. And bring the right hand down, and we'll go through our vinyasa. Or you can come to child's pose, or just hang out in downward facing dog if that's what you prefer. Look between the hands, walk the feet forward. Heel toe the feet out to about hips distance. And set the hips down in between the heels, coming into Malasana. Toes are slightly pointed outwards. Reach all the way from the sit bones up through the crown of the head, getting length in the spine, not crouching down here. You could use a block underneath the sit bones. Okay, and now we're in the perfect position for crow pose. So bring the hands down to the mat, step the feet together. Bring the knees up as high as you can towards the armpits. And start to work the weight forward, coming up off the toes, bringing the heels in towards the sit bones. Shoot the feet back to Chaturanga. Go ahead and lay down on the mat. Make a little shelf with your hands. And just hang out here in prone position. Coming back to your breath. Work your way onto all fours. And at this point, unless you are really advanced with the inversions and forearm balance, bring your mat up against the wall. And come down onto the forearms. Forearms are parallel. Fingers are spread wide, kind of gripping the mat. And push into the toes, raise the hips up. Walk the feet in just a bit. So we'll hang out here in dolphin pose for a few breaths. opening up through the shoulder blades. And gazing over the tip of the nose. And drop the knees, sit the hips back, stretch out through the shoulders in child's pose. Walk the fingers forward. Maybe make little domes with the hands, pushing the fingertips into the mat. Okay, and when you're ready, come back into dolphin pose. Walk the feet in as close as you can. And start to kick up, kind of doing little hops with one leg. Seeing if you can come to forearm stand. And gently come down. Or not so gently. Come back into dolphin and work on kicking up with the other foot. Walk the feet in as close as you can. And coming down when you're ready. Back into child's pose. Come back to your breath. Come onto all fours and just come down onto your bottom, coming into Navasana. Working on some core strength. Bring the shins up parallel to the ground, keeping the hands by the hips or reaching towards the feet, or maybe even grabbing the backs of the legs. But what you want to do is make sure that you're pulling the chest forward, not allowing the back to sag. Knees together. Cross the ankles and just come up onto your hands or your fingertips. Raise the hips up off the ground. And bring them back down. Coming back into boat, Navasana. Cross the other ankle on top. Come up, lift yourself up. And drop it down. And slowly drop down onto your back, coming into half boat. And slowly coming down. Working into our back bend section now, so you can start in bridge. Bring the feet about hips distance apart. Bring the heels to where the fingertips barely touch them. And then push the hips up towards the ceiling. Maybe you interlace the fingers behind the back and roll the shoulders underneath. Push through the feet, raising the hips up a bit more. Let the knees go from side to side in a little windshield wiper motion. Okay, now you can come back into bridge pose, or if you want to come into wheel with me, lift the hips up, bring the hands by the shoulders, fingers pointing down, and come up onto the top of the head, and push into the arms, and come all the way up. Come down, nice and gently, and squeeze the knees in. Walk from side to side a bit. Bring the right foot down onto the mat and cross the left leg over so the ankle is on top of the right knee. Bring the knee in towards the chest. Bring the left arm through that little hole that you've made with your legs. Reach around the outside with the right hand and grab onto the right shin. Releasing tension through the hips. Maybe pull that knee in a little closer. And go ahead and release the foot. Switch sides, bring the left foot down to the mat, bring the right leg crossing the ankle over the left knee. Reach through that hole with the right hand, grab both shins, or grab your shin. Grab your left shin. And if you want it a little bit deeper, just raise that left shin up a bit and squeeze it in a bit more. Release the legs, bring both feet down onto the mat, and cross the left leg over the right, and maybe, if you can take the left toes and hook them behind the right calf, so doing eagle legs. If you can't hook the toes, it's okay. But you're going to bring your arms out to a T, keeping both shoulders on the mat, let the knees fall over to the right. Deep spinal twist here. Gazing over the left hand. Bring the knees back up to center. Switch sides, bringing the right thigh over the left. Shifting the hips over to the right just a bit. And maybe hooking that calf with the toes. And keeping both shoulders on the mat, bring the knees over to the left and let them fall down to the ground. Turning the gaze over the right hand. the chest one more time. Give them a big hug and just squeeze everything in. Bring the head towards the knees. Tense every muscle in the body. And come into Shavasana. Bringing the feet about mat's distance apart, letting them flop open. Bringing the hands to the sides, palms facing towards the ceiling. Bringing the shoulder blades together, allowing yourself to make any adjustments that you need to make in order to be able to lay here still for a few minutes. Ideally, in a 60-minute practice, you would want to be in Shavasana for 10 minutes. A lot of people, especially those who are really drawn to power yoga and vinyasa yoga, they get to the Shavasana and they just want to get out of there and get on with their day. But Shavasana is really probably the most important pose in any practice. Shavasana is where we integrate all of the work that we just did. It's where we give ourselves the space, give the mind the space to sink into that sacred stillness. Trying to get a glimpse of the true self, which is the ultimate goal in yoga, is to come into contact with that true self that's beyond form, that's beyond time, that's beyond the constraints of the ego. So I invite you to really take care of yourself and to practice yoga by staying in Shavasana. to bring movement back into the body by wiggling the fingers and the toes. Roll over onto your right side, resting the head on the bottom arm. And start to bring yourself up to a seat, pushing through the left hand, leading with the left side, leading with the heart. Come into comfortable cross-legged position. We'll do some pranayama before we finish up here. We'll do Nadi Shodhana, a breath to cleanse our energetic system. Take the right hand, bring the index finger and the middle finger down to the palm, leaving the thumb, the ring finger, and the pinky finger up. And bring the thumb to the right nostril. Exhale through the left. Inhale through the left. Plug the nose with the left side of the ring finger and hold. Release the right, exhale. Hold. Inhale through the right. Hold. Exhale through the left. Hold. Inhale through the left. Hold. Exhale through the right. Hold. Inhale through the right. Hold. Exhale through the left. Hold. Inhale through the left. Hold. Exhale right. Hold. Inhale right. Hold. Exhale left. And release. Inhale through both sides. Exhale through the nose. Bring the hands to heart center. Bow the head slightly. Taking a moment of gratitude for this practice, for our willingness to get on the mat and move our bodies and do something that makes us feel so good, even though we don't want to sometimes. Bring the thumbs to meet the forehead. For clarity in the mind. Bring the thumbs to meet the lips. For loving communication. And bring the thumbs back to heart center. For loving intention. Thank you for sharing your practice with me. Namaste.